Okay, so we are still with Mr. Edwin Abeku vanotoo.
Saint.
Okay. Now, as if you remember from our development dialogue last October or so,
Yes.
there was a lot of interest in how the prospective new oil economy in the Western region can be deepened, if you want, by making connections to the SME sector and so on and so forth. What would you want to say about that? Do you see any prospect there?
Okay, at that forum, that dialogue, what I realized was that there are a lot of misconceptions.
Okay.
You know, the one that comes to mind immediately was the fact that somebody was speculating that they have heard that they are going to, there are about 50-something companies who have applied for permit.
The lights and the fishing.
Yeah, and then they extended it to the point that if all of them come here and they are all drilling, you know, where will the fishermen go and all that? So this is a misconception. So that's the only time I spoke that there will not be 52 companies all exploring at the same time because they come in different phases. Everybody has a block and they have different work schedule. Some might be shooting seismic, some might be doing exploration, some might make discovery, some might be drilling wells, and different things at different times. So I think this misconception about
I would say that's an understandable misunderstanding. If you
yeah. Looking at it from the periphery, So these are some of the things that the people should be enlightened on.
Well, let's take the issue of fishermen.
Yeah.
I mean, although you explained that we will not have, I think the argument was that the rigs used were powerful lights, and the lights attract the fish, so that the fishermen have an incentive to go near to the rigs to fish. I mean, there's obviously some kind of tension, no matter how many production activities you have, between, drilling oil and then fishing.
Well, I don't know if the people were sensitized enough, if they were educated enough, because I remember...
You mean the people at the forum or the fishermen?
The fishermen.
Okay.
The fisher folk, the communities in the area. No, we did similar thing in Cote d'Ivoire.
What did you do?
You know, at the time that I was working with Western Baker Hughes, you know, we brought in a vessel that was going to shoot a seismic survey. And before the vessel came in, you know, I went to the areas where the fisher folks were, you know, and...
What was your magic? What did you do?
Well,
I'm sure Tilo and Co are also talking to fishermen.
Well, they have to come see me. So
what did you do?
I won't give it free information.
Okay.
You know, if they hire me, then I'll teach them what we did at that time.
But what was the end result? So the fishermen were not going close to the rig ships?
They did not. They did not. And I've wondered why, if for nothing, you know, GMPC could have gone to Cote d'Ivoire to find out, you know, how they did it.
Okay.
But everybody looks at Nigeria. Just go to Cote d'Ivoire.
So we are looking at a bad example.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a bad example. You know, that is their example. We can learn from it. You know, but Cote d'Ivoire is producing consistently. You know.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Nobody hears anything.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, but we are not looking at that. You know, let's go to the Ivorians and ask them how they did it.
So apart from the fishermen, let's take what other small scale industries can you see being prepared for the oil business?
You see, Cote d'Ivoire, I guess, had a much more busier port in those days before the discovery.
You think Abidjan was busier than Tema is now?
Yes.
Okay.
Not now, then. You know, because
but what I meant was, do you think Abidjan in this heyday was more busy than Tema now?
I don't have anything to measure. But what I know is that, you know, you had a lot of Ghanaians flocking Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay.
Especially the Nzimas.
Okay.
You know, they already had access going back and forth, you know, and they got in the industry with the port activity. So when the oil started coming, they were already there, and they have now gotten the experience. But I know that GMPC had a very good collaborative effort with Petrosi.
Yeah.
In the days that I was there,
yeah.
You know, they had exchanges. So I don't know if they are still doing that now, but I thought Petrosi will have been the place to go, you know, because they have some good men. You know, whilst I was in the State studying economics, you know, Cote d'Ivoire at that time was sponsoring students in petroleum engineering. And that's what we didn't do.
No, but let's go to the more basic level. Okay. At the forum in Takoradi, there was a lot of talk about piping, for instance.
Piping?
Yeah. I don't know whether you call it piping technically.
Yeah.
But I mean, the oil industry uses a lot of pipes.
Pipes, yeah.
And
they are going to use a lot of pipes.
Technologies for that on the sea world and blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so when it comes to that, you're talking about welders? You know,
I'm more interested in more ordinary. Yes, the companies might not be Ghanaian, but I suspect it will not be too difficult, to train Ghanaian technicians to, you know, weld in this oil business. Would it be? I mean, one thing that I heard that was a bit disturbing was that already, even for this exploration stage, a lot of this kind of blue-collar labor is being imported from Nigeria, Gabon, and other places.
Yes, because you see, the field is very technical, and this is not the time to come and stand and stare. You know, come and you are going to train people to go and work, you know, with no experience. Will you do that? You know, because it's very risky.
Maybe not at the beginning, but what I'm trying to push at is perhaps should public policy begin preparing for that?
I would say yes. You know, because if we don't, then these things will still continue. You know, because we don't have the requisite skills. You know, and if we don't prepare, because you go to Kokompe, for example, you know, there are excellent craftsmen. But the tools that they use, you know, if you go and give them a modern tool, they may not know how to handle it. And even they are also not cautious of safety precautions, you know. And for, you see, they say it's I've forgotten the adage that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, they have worked in their craft in a certain routine.
Their ways are set.
So changing them might be a little difficult.
At the forum, there was a lot of talk about the new guys coming, Takoradi Technical Institute, maybe the Polytechnic.
Yes, that is all, but all well said. But were they trained for the oil industry? You know, precision is required here. It's not ad hoc work that they have done to sustain themselves, because these guys have been working.
So I mean, you went and you work on the rig as a steward.
Yeah.
So actually, there's a whole range of. We need stewards on the rigs. They need supply. In fact, I think somebody said that a lot of the supplies of food for the rigs now is actually coming from the Ivory Coast.
That's another aspect of it. You know, people have the conception that the oil industry, there is money, so they are charging exorbitant prices. You know? So then it will be easier to go to Cote d'Ivoire because those people there have been in the industry. You know, so they know what to mark up. You know, but here we think that, hey,
it's a bonanza.
Yeah, you have to make all your money in a day. But I think GMPC is streamlining all that. You know,
what are they doing?
Oh, they requested that everybody who wants to deal in the oil industry has to be registered with them. And I think in so doing, things may be streamlined.
I still understand. So they will regulate the prices that the
No, they will not regulate. They cannot regulate prices, but then they will give people who are commendable.